Hello, Earl Holzman here, and I'm a nyckelharpa builder, and this is the third video in a series of three on taking apart a key box and unsticking keys. In the first video, I explained how to identify the sticky keys and how to take apart a key box on one of my 4-road nyckelharpas. In the second video, I talked about how to go through and unstick a single key, and that process needs to be done as many times as necessary for your instrument. In this video, I'm going to put the key box back together. And now we're back to the point of all the keys and the key guides are out. So I'm putting the key box back together. This is the key number 1 stack, and all of the keys are numbered. And so what I have to do is come in here and get the tangents in the string gaps, get the tips all in that side, and then just pop the first key in. And then I go through and I do this with all 10 key stacks, because in this instrument there are 10 keys on the bottom row. So we have 10 sets of 4 keys that I'm slowly, sometimes they line up a little easier than others. The trick on this is make sure that the tangents end up in the gaps where they're supposed to be between the strings. And every once in a while the tangent tries to get between the sympathetic strings instead. Oops, like there. Oops. And here we have the 10th stack. So now that I've got all of those keys in, before I can put any more keys in, I have to put a key guide strip in. So here's the middle bottom key guide strip, and I need to get it between the bottom row keys and the next key up. And my trick for putting a gap in there is, this is just a standard steel ruler from my shop. You can use a plastic ruler, but I slide it between the bottom row of keys and the next row, and then I rotate it up, and you can see that it lifts the top 3 rows of keys, and this gives me a gap where I can just slide this next key guide in and then rotate it into place, and then I can come in and tighten up the screws to hold them together. Now when I'm doing this, I'll kind of take the key all the way down so it's kind of, the screw all the way down so it's kind of snug, and then I back it off a half a turn. You do not want these screws between the key guides too tight, because if they're snug too tight, it can actually cause keys to be sticky because you're holding too much pressure between the key guides. So now I can put the next 2 sets of keys, 2 stacks of keys in. And to put the next key guide strip in, again, I slide the ruler in, and if I rotate it, I see that they're all where they need to be. And I slide these, when I'm sliding them in, I've got it on the side, then I rotate it up in place so that all the keys drop into their slots. And then I need 2 of these 1-inch screws. Now I'm using a cordless drill here, but if you notice, I didn't take it all the way down. I stopped before the screw head actually got below the surface of the key guide, because a cordless screw can very easily over tighten one of these. And if you over tighten it, the other thing that you can do in addition to causing additional sticky keys is you can actually split the key guide strip and cause a crack in it, And if you accidentally do that, contact me and I'll talk to you about how to fix that. So the cross pieces, the screws for the cross piece are slightly larger than the screws that hold the top plate in. So make sure that you get the right screws for the cross pieces. And if that hole doesn't line up quite right, you may have to move it around with your fingertip. But by having these cross pieces in here, this holds the key guides in place really well and gives the keys a good stable key box. So we'll put these two keys in. And then these are the... So we slide that ruler back in there, rotate this. Now I'm pushing up on this with my finger in the bottom pretty good to make sure that those are snugly together. And I have an errant 1-inch screw someplace. That's a 1 1/4 inch screw. It goes right here. There's a 1-inch screw somewhere. I know 1-inch screw had gotten off to the side and it was sitting next to one of the other tools. I'm sure that nobody watching this video will ever misplace a screw. This is a 1-inch number 4 screw. They are available at big box hardware stores and small hardware stores as well. And then this slightly longer screw is 1 1/4 inch, and it's a slot head, so I'm just gonna screw it in the old-fashioned way with a standard screwdriver. Which again, I go down so it's snug, and then I back it up. And again, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna snug that down and back it up so it's not tight. Same here, snug it down and back it up. And I've recessed these holes so that when you back that up, the screw heads won't stick up. On this end, you can actually snug it down and leave it kind of snug, and it's not going to matter because there aren't any keys down here that will stick on the next layer down. So putting the last, let's see here, I got one cross piece. Now, it looks like that cross piece is dropped down a little bit. You're going to need to pull up that cross piece just a little bit to get the hole to line up. I'm using a screwdriver. You can actually reach in there with a fork if you need to and do the same thing. But that gets it. You can see I'm getting it to the right level so that the hole in the cross piece lines up so I can screw it in. Trying to demonstrate that you don't have to have high-tech tools to do some of this stuff. So I'm putting the rest of the keys back in. On my key boxes, I've got pencil mark in the grooves that are for bent keys. And it works a little better if you get the bent keys in before you put the unbent keys around it, because otherwise sometimes it's a little, well, it'll show on this one, is the key head for the key above got in the way a little bit there, so I had to lift it out of place. And this let's see here, get those to settle into place, and to put the top plate back on. And these, like I said, the screws that I use for the top plate are slightly smaller than the screws that I use for the cross braces. So these are number 3 by 1/2 inch. And US standard screw measurements. So this and usually on the top here you can snug these just a little bit, just don't over tighten them. Then I can take the towel out of there, and now we've got all the keys happy. Well, that's the one that we just played with, and it's I'm wiggling it back and forth and pushing it up and down and side to side, and now it's moving better. And it's possible that it looks like it might be touching this side of the key just a little bit in here when I go back and forth. So it's possible that that's a situation where I need to pull the tangent out and take just a little bit of material off of that side of the key, which you can take material off with either a sharp knife or a small file. So, but that's how to put a key box back together. So if you have any other questions, feel free to call me or email me, and I can provide assistance as best I can from a distance. Thank you.